Hi there, welcome everyone to our monthly product updates webinar. My name is Paulina, and I'm very happy to know that you came, that you are here, and I'll be happy to guide you through our September product updates. There were not that many of them, but many of them are pretty nice, I would say. If you'll have any questions, anytime, or any comments, you're very welcome to drop them here in the chat. And I will go through them during the webinar itself or during the Q&A session. There is also a questions button, which you can click and ask a question. And this recording will be uploaded later to the YouTube, so you will be able to check it out anytime. I think that the part with explanation will take like 20-30 minutes, and then Q&A based on the number of questions. I think we can start. And let me probably share the screen. Okay. Good morning from the US. Good morning. Oh yeah, that's pretty early. Thank you for waking up. Okay, so what are we going to go through today? I will tell you which updates were delivered to the whiteboard area, what has improved about permissions. This is mostly not about the new functionality, rather better discoverability. Integrations, what was improved, how can you migrate right now, and other updates. I failed to group them with a reasonable, I don't know, grouping. So we will go through that one by one. Then we'll see what educational content was released, and we'll go to the Q&A part. So some stats and memes as usual. So you could also laugh a little bit and not feel that your time is wasted. In September, we had 4 Thursdays and 4 releases. We released 23 features. Normally, we release from 30 to 40, but we are cooking like quite few bigger updates. So I think you can forgive us and fix it $39 only, which is also, I think, not that much, but good enough. One person left our marketing team, Kate. Maybe you saw some messages from her, but we're wishing her all the best. And we are about to hire an educator. Pilot projects are over, so I sincerely hope that from the next month, our approach to creating any educational materials will be more structured, less chaotic, and I hope that you will feel that as well. And in September, we had 6 Kickstarts. That's quite a lot. Kickstart is usually a start of a new big feature which requires discussion. And good news that one of those Kickstarts was about files. So finally, we started working on files. And what do we have about the whiteboard? So we delivered activity on the whiteboard, undo an activity, and band connectors were updated. Let's have a look. What does that really mean? Okay, so there we are on a whiteboard, and as you see, there are quite a lot of different things here. What can I do? Now there is such an icon which normally explains which is shown as activity, and you can see what had changed. This activity shows timeline of changes. They are grouped by user. They are shown in reverse chronological order, so the freshest one will be on the top. If something was updated while you were away, then they will be marked with a blue highlight, so it will be easier to distinguish what had changed. The timestamps, they match the local zone, the local time zone you're in, so they can be different for different users. And through this panel, you can not only see what had changed, and the activity includes adding new items, duplicating like shapes, stacks, images, drawings, whatever, changes to existing contents, and if something was deleted. And regarding the access, every hour history, every activity that we have, no matter where it is, like a document or a whiteboard or something, it also have permissions applied. So editors can view the panel and restore items. Viewers can see activity and deleted objects but cannot restore them. And history is kept normally for 3 months on paid plans and 1 month on free plans. After that, the history is not deleted. So if at some point you will upgrade, the history will be loaded for you. And if on a whiteboard was something, for example, one user added and another user didn't have access to it, it will also not be visible in activity log. So here you in activity log, you see only something you really have access to. This is why it can look a little bit unique from user to user. And as you see, and I can like see what was deleted here, it will navigate me to the specific part of this whiteboard, and I have an option to restore it. So the storage has to work. So we both have like undo with a CMDZ, and we have restore from activity log. These two features took us much more time than we expected. This is why we postponed our files improvements for a month or even a little bit more to finish this big functionality. So now it has to work pretty smooth. And also we have some shortcuts, which you can see right here on this amazing sticker. Hope you like my idea, which brings items back to the board, copies deleted objects, and hides the preview. And also we improved the connectors. Of course, we haven't stolen them from anywhere. It's like almost unique, but now it works much smoother than it was before. And you can like make it work and make it much less annoying than it was probably before Fire. So this is like, a small piece, but I think such small pieces is which turns feature from usable into lovable. I personally now use whiteboards much more and struggle much less. So I think it's a good direction we are moving to. And this is what have we done about the whiteboards, what is coming. On the previous webinar, I set an expectation that creating and updating whiteboard with AI will be probably released in September, since it was like already we could test. But we're not satisfied with performance. Overall, we're not satisfied with performance of our AI building agent. So we are now reworking it to improve the precision and the speed of it. This is why the whiteboard creation was also postponed like for 1-2 months. So it's still in progress. There is only one developer left in the whiteboard, and he is working now on 2 features. The first one is ability to insert views, like embed views that you have already into the whiteboard. Now you can only like show their name there, and that's it. And improve text rendering. So one new feature, one new polishment, and some AI to be implemented at some points. This is what we have about the whiteboard, and I think that's quite a nice speed we are going with here. Permission updates. So here, I think it's one of the areas where we have like the most static team, and they have a very big scope. And it's also a part where most of improvements you will never see happen, like migrations, improving flexibility, improving speed. So right now, what we release like publicly, what you can mention is something about discoverability. We released option to see all access changes in activity log. Now it's more visible what observers cannot receive in access audit. Just polished thanks to your feedback, by the way, how inaccessible items are displayed, and we also added option to disable public sharing in a workspace. So let's go through those improvements one by one. Okay, so now my activity log, the real one, is getting loaded. So as you see here in activity log, you can make a filter which is called event is access changed. So spaces has been tracked since beginning of August, and everything else, databases, entities, automatic access via fields, access templates, public sharing with a share button, were delivered in September. So as you can see, like we can see which cards were added, who shared them, how the access was changed, and what exactly had happened here. Then we also, as for the observers, like this is how the access, now we better explain what capabilities observers cannot get. So here is how it changes now. As you see, these one look more disabled because you cannot now even grant those capabilities, and this one looks like disabled, but it can be clicked and granted. So we sincerely hope that it will just, you know, make it more obvious what is possible and what is not. And the last but not least, if well, I'm just loading it. So it's also now possible to disable public sharing in a workspace. So if you go to the settings, there will be public sharing. No one will be able to externally share spaces, documents, whiteboards, reports, forms, or entities. And normally you manage this more granularly, like on a space level or in a database level, on an entity level with permissions. Like, yep, you can share it if needed, you cannot. This can be shared, this cannot. But sometimes, this is why it's an enterprise, because so far that was like pretty popular request, specifically from the enterprises. When you have very anxious security team, they say that there has to be no way to grant that. So if you switch to enterprise, this option will be available. So you can, like, if you really need something to be shared, like I know with stakeholders, you can turn it off, share, and then turn it on back. So this is what was done about permissions. What is coming? Consolidation of templates on all levels. We will start contributor access deprecation. Share space with its data will take us a few months, and manage everything publicly shared. To be honest, personally, I'm waiting for managing everything publicly shared the most, because you can share whatever you want. Like you can share the report, you can share the entity and related ones, you can share the document, you can share the whiteboard, you can share the whole space with everything inside. And right now, it really like just takes time to go through everything, list it one by one, and see whether this specific item is shared or not. It's time consuming and definitely not very optimal. Also on permissions radar, we have few very big, I don't know, initiatives. It's not a very initial, like functionalities we hope to deliver. They're a very big one, and they all involve core. So it means that they are very heavy in term and complex in terms of delivery. But one of the big items on the list is configuring access to users. I know it's a very popular request, so I want to just to mention that even though it's not in the scope for October, it's on a bigger radar. So sometimes you want to say, okay, this user doesn't have to be able to see other users at all. So this generic option to control how users' database is visible and for whom. Right now, we don't have any restrictions. Any user can see any other user, except for guests. Guests cannot see other guests. Another big thing we're thinking of solving is the fact that nothing can be hidden from the admin. I would say this part has a bit lower priority, but we'll see how it will go. We have a question about permissions. Is it possible to empty the trash now? To be honest, I'm not sure what does that mean. So you have activity log, and activity log is something wider. It tracks all the changes that you have on a workspace. like what was added, what was changed, what was deleted, etc. And to restore something from there, you can like apply filters and click restore. Then there is a trash bin. There you see only deleted items. They are also part of the history. Is it possible to remove records about deletion and overall delete something from Fiber history? No, there is no at the moment technical function, like there is no functionality to clean up the history. History will persist. I think it was pretty popular request in terms of working with the CRAM and GDPR. Like I want to delete customers' data. You can delete it in Fiber, but it will be preserved in history. So very powerful user can restore them at some point. In this case, it's not possible to manage that in Fiber, but you can still be compliant with GDPR and just write it down in terms of permissions that it is deleted and no specific person can restore it in case blah, 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 blah. So it's managed right now, not on Fiber side, but on legal terms and conditions side. We have even a guide about that, how better to handle that, because we had a few recent requests on that. Okay, we will proceed about another topic, integration updates. So this one, I'm not sure how relevant is it for any of you, because if you're here, there is a chance that you've integrated and using Fiber already, so I will not spend that much time here. So the first thing that we added is that now it's possible to select how to import users from other tools. So unfortunately, I don't have any good integration running from another tool where I have a lot of users. So I'll just use a static screenshot, but I promise it works the same. I tested. So now when you integrate with any tool, you will have an option about what has to happen with users. You can invite them. And in this case, they will be invited. They will appear in the user's database. They will have an observer access. And then you can change their global role. For example, you can make them members or even admins, but they're synced as observers initially because we want to keep them free. And it has to be your proactive decision whether you want to upgrade them to members or admins or not, because members and admins are paid. You need license for that, and observers are free. If you don't want to sync them all, for example, you had a lot of freelancers, a lot of contractors, and you want to keep the history, but you don't want them to have access to a Fiber database, then you can like sync them as a separate database. There will be another database which is not associated with Fiber users. You will be able to track the history, like this person is assigned here, but it's not a registered user. Or you can simply ignore this part and click skip. So very straightforward, I believe. Also, we introduced a new create update command in the Fiber Core API. So if you were struggling with it before, now you'll have to struggle a little bit less. It is focused on simplifying handling duplicates across imports, automations, forms, integrations, and instead of building conditional checks separately for each service, a new command allows you and integrations provide entity values along with a config field. So Fiber can either create a new record or update an existing one. So we had a lot of typical scenarios like importing contacts by mail, updating requests via forms, like syncing students by ID. It will become just like more consistent and less error prone. We not only implemented the functionality, which is not that complicated, but we also updated the user guide. And I think that's a great thing, because here the problem is that developer who added the functionality has to update the documentation, and for them it's mostly like even more time consuming than the releasing the feature itself. So thank you so much, whoever it was, maybe Andrew, maybe Sergey. Thank you guys. And you can check the data, and this is it. What else is possible? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, this one you can see. Now it's possible to sync integration field as a relation. So if the data that you bring from another tool is already present in Fibery, and it's very popular case, I think, because normally other tools store the data in a different way than you would store it in Fibery. Probably that's one of the reasons why you switched to Fibery, to be able to make your custom data structure. You can now turn the synced column into Fibery relation. Yeah. So this is how it will look like. You can just choose this database here. Yes, we didn't have it before. And you can also choose how you want to import users, which field do they have to be in. We will update this option in every tool we have connectors with. ClickUp was the first one to focus on, and it can be used as an example how it will be done. What is coming already? NA10 in testing already. Our wonderful architect, Chris, probably you met him already, or heard of him at least, is writing documentation. Notion introduced data sources, so now we support them as well. And Notion people fields will be also supported, just like we are doing with ClickUp. So this is what we plan in integrations. As you see, it's like almost, I would say, like we have a lot of plans here till the end of the year, but here was mostly working single developer on all those improvements. So he will switch to some other areas. This is why here in the next month there will be not that many great things. And the 10 mostly was also added in September. It's just it will be released maybe this week or next. Is this also applicable to the script blocks inside of a Fibery automation rule? Yes. There you can use JS and Fibery API as well. So it has to be applicable there as well. I think there are no like differences where do you apply it. Like script block is not that unique. Yeah. Okay. I think that we can switch to the second, not to the second, to the next. Yep. Other updates. What else have we done? Quick filter improvements. What is meant under that they got smarter, a little bit smarter. So what are pinned filters overall? So let's say here I have a table with initiatives, and we have a filter here. And one of the filters I want it to be generic. And assignees contains me. What can I do next? This filter can be pinned. And oh my God, it doesn't ask me to add any more details on my own. It just created a button and called it assignees contains me. Yes, that's the improvement delivered. You can still edit name and icon, like you can call it like my initiatives, but it's more polishing like this. But overall, it's smart enough just to suggest you the naming, and we also plan, to polish quick filters a little bit more. Also, AI agent, we added build mode to create rules with external actions. External actions can be send email. It's like the simplest one. So let's say you have an email integration and you want to be able to reply, maybe with some default template. So you can say to the AI, please create for me a rule, which will send the email, and that will be the message, and it will create it for you. I was thinking that maybe we have to show it on the webinar directly, but the creation takes roughly a few minutes, even more. So idea to stare at the screen for a few minutes didn't look very, fancy and engaging for me. So we'll skip this part. You have to trust me. Not trust me, try on your own. And it is also one of the reasons why we prefer to focus on speed improvements for the Fibery AI agent. Exactly, so it took less time. We also improved sharing previews for public spaces and for public links overall. So if you wanted to share like the template, or if you wanted to share the form or something else, well, now it looks like you'll feel a bit less shame on your social networks when you share something from Fibery, and we will feel ourselves very proud. MCP now works in ChatGPT Plus and Pro now. If you feel that MCP is missing in some tools, please let us know. Like, we are collecting the requests and are gradually adding them to other tools. And one of wonderful things, what we have done is to specify which entity view to open based on some field value. I will use this feature as an example. So as you see, this feature has a few tabs like default, release day, QA, feedback, customer success. And now you can set rules that open specific pre-configured tentative view based on fields value. This is functionality for the Pro plan. The tabs are accessible for everyone, but automation, if you call it like this, for Pro plan only. So if I go here and then I click this for buttons, now I can set up a rule. So I can say that always open customer success tab if, let's say, created by is any of Valina, thanks for the jump, or Xenia. So thanks for the jump again. Very nice to have it in the webinar. Not that much shame. So if, for example, the teammate who opens it, the feature is like me or Ksusha, who are from the customer success team, please open this tab by default. What can be other good use cases here? Like, I will switch to the bit more natural part. Imagine you have different project types, and based on the project type, some fields have to be visible, some fields have to be hidden. If you have, you can define it based on the feature state. So if feature is now in testing, please show us the fields by default which are which are relevant for the QAs. Tasks, you can have different types of tasks, and based on the task type, again, different fields have to be visible. Document can be a database, document can have category, maybe some details have to be defined by the type of the document it is. So by the way, account, right? If you're having, like we do, CRM in Fibry, unfortunately, I cannot show you that. You can check it out in our blog with some screenshots and examples. Down, we have to improve, we have to respect the GDPR, and all this kind of sensitive data cannot be easily shared. But let's say I have account from the CRM, and like it can have 100 to 100 fields. Those are make sense for the new lead. This one for the customer. This one if the customer is churned. I don't care where they came from, but I want to know what was the churn reason. And churn reason will be always empty for those who are still paid. So you can say that the layout for the customer's card will depend also on the customer's state, depending like whether they're paid or in the progress or not. This one, you can have only one field in the entity view rule, and rule operators are is or is any of. And the execution is defined by the entity view orders, like by those steps. You can like also delete, edit entity views, like reorder them. This is up to you. What else had changed? We deprecated referral program. I mean, it didn't work, so why keep it? Good news that if you were a part of this program already, then previously saved and shared links will still work. Invitees who sign up via existing links will still receive the credits promised, $100 from what I remember. Referrers can still receive pen and rewards if invitees meet the criteria, and any earned credits can be used toward any paid fiber plan. But so it's all about new links to be generated. If you have more ideas about which program should we implement next, you're very welcome to share it here or via email or via chat. As you know, we check out every channel. And last improvement here is ability to rename name field. I mean, there are a few fields in Fibry which were unrenamable at some point. These are state, assignee, and name. And within only 6 or 7 years, 2 of them can be renamed. So assignee field became a proper relation to user, which can be named just the way you want. Finally, name field can be renamed, and only state, hello, only state field is left. So far, we don't have plans to be able to give option to rename it, but we didn't have plans for the name field as well. So we'll see how it goes. What is next? Multiple file fields per database. It's a big thing that we kickstarted. It will be the first feature delivered in a files improvement scope. Maybe it will be decomposed into smaller features like multiple files fields, normal ones, apply option to work with multiple file fields in automations, etc. So there are a lot of services where it has to be supported, but we hope to deliver value as always, like step by step. And we'll of course introduce new UI for files for units, so it will become more pleasant. Once this is introduced, it will be easier to create a properly gallery view. So in a few months, we can hope that it will be done. Fingers crossed, not a promise. We'll also work quick filters, give option to choose values. So here the use case is like, imagine I have a customers table and I want to easily see few countries I'm interested in, and there are a lot of countries, and there is no way that I can create a button for a country. So I want to be able to click on a filter, and it will only show me a list of countries and no other properties. So I could easily reconfigure the filter itself, and it will become a bit more broad, a bit more dynamic, but will save some time. It was a very popular request so far. So now our simplification team is looking at filters as well. So that was added to the scope. Export from any view. It was also a very popular feature, like how can I export my timeline? How can I export my board? How can I export my list? So far, export to CSV was possible in table view only. So you can create a table, 3 dots, export to CSV. Now it will be possible from everywhere. At some point, we thought that why would you need to export a timeline? But Michael shared that in community, we have a very nice enterprise customer who told for them that this is a must. And we also found out that it was requested quite a lot of times. So it makes sense for us to edit. I think it was also asked so much because it's not possible to easily publicly share the view. Like, in fact, I don't want to export timeline. I want to show it to my stakeholders. And I cannot do this unless I share the whole space. But this is definitely more complicated to deliver. It's still in the scope after permissions. So we hope that permission improvements will definitely unlock sharing options as well. But first things first, permissions have to be delivered. And yes, Reworker AI agent, this is something I mentioned already a few times. Hope you're not that much annoyed with the number of times I said AI during this webinar, and you're not playing any drinking games with this word. So hope you're not disappointed. Regarding the education part, we have new article. Can AI first support deliver, or is a human still essential? You can check it out in our blog. There we are. It has absolutely stunning cover. I love it. And as always, I don't write a lot, but if I do, then it has to be something worth the time. And here you will see also a lot of memes, because it has to be fun to read, but you will also see, you'll see some examples about how do we manage our customer communication, what are the approaches when AI is coming, the stats about AI usage, like whether people like AI or not, and where it means and why, and some also industry metrics. So if at any point you feel that this topic can be helpful for your product as well, I would recommend the blog, not because I wrote it, but because I like it. We also have a new guide about permissions use cases, and this is probably a place where I want to ask you to help. So yeah, educators come in, but I think you'll have a lot of work to be done. So right now, what am I doing? We have two primary, the most popular cases: how to share projects with customers as guests, and automatically grant access to projects for a specific group. So here we step by step explain how it can be configured, which features has to be used, and if there is an improvement delivered with new features which make those use cases more like more flexible or just better or more simple, this guide will be updated as well. So if you have any good permissions use case you're struggling with and was postponing it, you're very welcome to throw it at me, like with the email here in chat, or in chat with the help and support button. And we will be happy to write a guide about it, to record a video, because permissions area is something everyone struggles with. And I think that this is fine. Complicated things have to be complicated. I think that's pretty fair. Sam Anton started newsletter. So Anton is our growth and permission guy. He started his own newsletter. It's not only about Fibery. In fact, it's not about a Fibery, but since he's our product and growth guy, of course he cannot not write about Fibery in his experience. So last of the articles which I personally liked is why aren't you a good fit. It's about the challenge that we faced when hiring an educator, and what was the most helpful question to ask in the application form, which helped to find the diamonds and or to understand that person is not a fit for our company. There he shares the details, and I think it's pretty fun to read. And our CEO also has his own blog where he writes, like as an our CEO, not only about Fibery, of course, but still it affects him somehow as an author. And there he reflects on industry problems, about the challenges he faced. So personally, I'm a part like of some. I signed up like for a very few newsletters because I hate reading some marketing bullshit, which at some point becomes essential part of almost any newsletter. But those two I added to my list, not because I wanted to keep working in Fibery, but also because I enjoyed reading. So of course I'm biased, but not that much. Yeah, Slack has proven to be pretty evil, not natural, and it was like I don't remember whether it happened before or after the post. But I definitely remember that in LinkedIn, that was a part of the discussion. We were also pretty shocked. By the way, good news, it wasn't in the webinar because it wasn't released as a feature. But why it wasn't released as a feature? Remember, Slack introduced their new API limits, which made it absolutely impossible to get your data from Slack with the webhooks, with API or whatever, just because with the limits that they introduced, any integrations become pretty unusable. And ours as well, because we have two types of Slack integration. The first one, which sends notification to Slack, and the second one, which gets information from Slack. For example, you could have a channel with a customer, and there they shared your requests, and you were syncing this channel requests into Fibery as a source of feedback. So we deprecated it because of new limits, but they postponed limit introduction from this autumn to next spring. So we brought the integration back, and we'll keep our eyes on that, whether they will really introduce that or not. But yeah, it's one of the things where we were like, it's just sometimes sad to see what happens to the industry. Slack, not very good behavior. Cycle, a wonderful product which we really adored, although it was a bit of a competitor, was closed because it was bought by Jira, from what I remember. So yep, I see we don't have a lot of questions, and when I say a lot of, I mean we don't have any. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate that. I hope that this, what day is that? Is it Thursday? Is it Tuesday? Whatever it is for you, that it will be great. Thank you again so much for coming, and we'll be happy to see you next month in our next monthly update. And yeah, see ya. Bye bye.